Well, good evening. This is Tyrone Holmes, the founder and CEO of the MSF. We welcome you back to the MSF Trauma Network for Men. We are so glad to be back with you again. We hope that you have been enjoying the broadcast thus far. We hope that you are learning a lot. The men out there that may be listening to this and watching it, as well as the women that have been listening, I hope that you have been getting some knowledge that you can pass off onto your family members, your sons, your husband, fathers, nephews, cousins, whoever it may be, because men really need to hear this conversation that we are having. You know, I've been a minister now almost 30 years, and all the time that I've been in church, I have never, ever heard a minister talk about the things that we talk about in this organization. Yes, we are a Christian-based organization, but we're not a church. We are here to bridge a gap between society, what society say we are as men, as well as what the church is not talking about. Yes, we are a ministry, but we're not a ministry in a point where we have to knock people over the head with the word. We're here to show each other love, because that's what Christ says. Love thy neighbor as I love thyself. If we do that, then we can win you over. And that's what this organization is all about. We want to welcome back Brother Josh. He's back with us again. God bless you, Brother Josh. Good to have you. And also Brother Dwight. Good to have you, brother. God bless you. All right. Good to have both of them back again to the broadcast. We have been dealing with a very, very, very powerful series. We started about 3 weeks ago. This is our third broadcast tonight, dealing with every man's battle. Winning the war on sexual temptation, one victory at a time. And I think, oh man, this has really been deep, Brother Josh. And since Brother Dwight has been out, he has missed some things, but you can always go back and watch the broadcast, and you can go back and check it out on YouTube as well. The first one we dealt with was sexual bondage. That was our first broadcast. Number 2 was last week. Gratification through the eyes. Gratification through the eyes. Our eyes mess us up as men because our eyes bounce all over the place when it comes to looking at a beautiful woman. If it comes to it could be videos, it could be a magazine, it could be television, whatever it is, society is always selling sex. That's what it is. And they know that men will buy something if it's a pretty girl. When it comes to a pretty girl, they'll be willing to buy it. Now, I'm not saying that women are exempt in this process, because they'll show a nice guy with abs and muscle and all that good stuff. You know, it's always sex, either on the female side or the male side. But 9 times 10, it's usually 9 times 10. It's always focused towards the man. 9 times 10, it's always focused towards the man. So gratification through the eyes. So tonight, we're going to be dealing with masturbation, a symptom, not the root. You probably say, wow, are y'all going to really talk about that? Yes, we are, because it's very important. There's many men out there in society say, man, I don't do that. Or yes, you do. Don't even sit there and lie. Because if you have gotten lonely, because all y'all out there are not Mac Daddies. Am I right or wrong? Huh? Am I right? Amen? All us men, we all get erections. Okay, so come on, listen, we're not going to sugarcoat the conversation. We're going to tell it just like it is. Men get erections because they get excited by what they see. Women, on the other hand, they get excited by what they hear. That's why it's so important when they ask a man, when are you going to tell me you love me? You don't tell me you love me. They're moved. And that's how God is. God is not moved by our actions. He's moved by the words that we say to him. That's why when you go to church, women are always the vocal one in church, praising God. Men are always laid back. They don't want to say nothing. They're always being cool. Women are always the vocal one. Am I right or wrong? That's why it's so hard for men to release, because society has put us in that box again. Man box. That man box where we have to be quiet, we'll be silent, we ain't supposed to say nothing. We have to stick by a rule of what do you call that? A rule of thumb. Thank you, Brother Josh. Excellent. I like that. A rule of thumb that we have to stick by as men. So
when you step out of the man box.
That's right. That's when we get persecuted. So tonight we're going to get into our scripture tonight. We always try to lead into the scripture because we are Christian-based. Because the things that we do talk about, it's necessary to let you know that Christ is still in this. He wants us to be free, but we as men get to open up and be for real, not only with ourselves, but with the other brothers that we're talking about. And you just said, Brother Dwight, that we do need to talk about this. Yes, because who else is going to talk about it? You know, women, you ain't gonna talk to your son about, are you in there looking at Playboy magazine? You know he's looking at Playboy magazine. Come on, we all have done it. That's right. We got the videos in there now. If you got the internet in your house, oh, you gonna forget about it. If he's on the internet, you ain't gotta buy videos no more. You ain't gotta buy magazines no more, because all you gotta do, tap in X, sex rate, or whatever on the computer, there it is. So it's there. So we're gonna deal with this issue tonight. We're gonna get Brother Josh to start off tonight with our scripture, and then we're gonna get into our broadcast. Brother Josh.
No temptation that's overtaking you that is not common to man. God is faithful.
Yes.
And he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it. 1 Corinthians 10:13.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's get into masturbation, a symptom, not the root. Masturbation is sometimes called self-abuse or self-pleasing, because that's what it's all about. We talked about this last week, Brother Josh. It's all about, when we look at us as a society, it's always about me, myself, and I'm going to do for me. You know, and we have really gotten away from how God created us to be. He wanted us to look out for one another. He didn't put us here to try to do it yourself, because you're not going to make it. You're going to destroy yourself. I don't care how much money you have in the bank. I don't care what kind of car you drive. I don't care where you live at. You're going to have problems. If you try to think you're going to do it by yourself, you can have all the money, but you're still lonely. What's all that money and all that other stuff that you may have if you have nobody to share it with? It means nothing. You're dead. So it's all about self-pleasing and self-gratification, which we talked about last week, about gratification through the eyes, about gratifying ourselves. And we as a society have set up these parameters that if we're not doing it, if we don't drive a certain car, if we don't drive a certain car, we don't wear a certain type of clothes, the women gotta always have stuff, clothing, revealing everything, they gotta wear a certain thing, you gotta be a certain weight, you gotta be this, you gotta be this, the man gotta have a six-pack. Yeah, that's right, that's what it is. That's what it is. So what happens is society puts these things on us, and we start believing that, because the more we see it, the more we believe it. The more we believe it. So we're going to get on with this. When the psychic stimulation takes place during sleep, it is known as nautical pollution. Father Benedict Goschel of the Catholic Church uses the term masturbation to denote action that takes place in sleep or semi-sleep, or the action of children in early adolescent sexual behavior, while he reserves the term about autoeroticism for the activity of older adolescents and adults who, for a variety of reasons, are driven in on self and find a substitute for living in the symbolic and intensely frustrating behavior. Okay, now, here we're going to start keying in. Father Joseph Farrier describes it as the stimulation of an external sexual organ to a point of climax or orgasm by oneself by the movement of the hand or other physical contact, or by sexually stimulating pictures or imaginations, okay, or by a combination of physical stimulation. In a broader sense, this includes mutual masturbation in which persons touch one another's genitalia. Okay, brothers, let's start talking about this. Masturbation, we already know, it's talking about self-gratification. Now, when you think about that, or I've heard that, I know when we were younger, we get excited when it comes to girls and all that. What does that mean to you now that you're learning more about it from the spiritual sense, and how society has trained us as men not only to bring self-gratification to ourselves, but how we manipulate ourselves to making that woman a sex object? Because we're going to get down to that, because that's basically what it is. Brother Dwight.
I guess the first thing, we have a sex addiction. It goes to different stages, different cycles, and masturbation is like one of those cycles. So again, certain people can't deal with it. Just say a guy may see a girl that he likes, and you say that he was thinking in mind. Sure. They can't get a girl at that time. So desire can sneak up with his coming when they alone, and you think about her, like that. They have to get that satisfaction. That's right. That they get in this by ejaculating.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And what you said is, and when you get to that point, there's no rejection, because the woman has no way of preventing you from doing that because, you know, if it's in your mind, people can't control your thoughts. So then you have her at your beck and call because every time you bring that thought to your mind, you're going to have control over her body because now she's more of an object to you than a person because she has no will to say yes or no, right or wrong. So you don't get hurt physically by her rejecting you by saying, no, I don't want to deal with you, I don't like you. She has no control of that, right? Okay, Brother Josh, anything about that? Nothing. Too deep for you, brother? All right, let's move on. Okay, all right, brother, no problem. Okay, the most penetrating description of the habit, now, that's the key word. The habit of masturbation is in any letter of C.S. Lewis quoted by Leanne Payne in The Broken Image. For me, the real evil of masturbation would be that it's taking an appetite which, in lawful use, leads the individual out of himself to complete and correct his own personality in that of another, and finally in children, even grandchildren, and turns it back, sends it back into a prison of himself, there to keep a harem of imaginary brides. Brother Josh, I know you got something to say about that. What do we mean? First, there's some key words. We talked about habit, imagination, and harem. Let's talk about that. What do we mean by habit?
It's something you always do.
That's right.
Like taking a shower in the morning when you wake up, take a shower, brush your teeth, make your bed. It's a habit because you're so used to doing it.
You do it over and over again.
So what happened with the masturbation, she can find, like, talking about the wife, she can find girls, she can't say yes or no to.
That's right, she can't.
Because you go back and you think about that woman and then you go and beat your meat.
That's right, that's right, that's right, that's right. How about imagination? And I think you just touched on that a little bit. How powerful can the imagination be on a person that don't have no control over his imagination? Deep, huh?
Oh yeah, it can really mess you up.
Yeah.
Because you, like, if you're, I'm gonna take a South Park for example. They were talking about one guy had imagination land, and the imagination land was like full of all kinds of things. But then the evil tried to take over that. So I mean, you can have an imagination, but just don't let it go to a point where it's going to end up hurting you or somebody else, because you might act out your fantasy.
Right.
That's your imagination, your fantasy.
Sure.
You might go out here and rape a girl because of your imagination.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And the harem.
Harem. What are we talking about harem? What does a harem mean?
See if I can
Remember what we talked about?
I'm trying to remember.
Harem.
Isn't it like always there?
A harem is a group of women.
Yeah, it's a group of women.
That's
so
right.
When, like, for instance, a pimp.
Yeah, that's good.
The pimp has all the women, so therefore he's considered a harem.
Yeah, exactly. He has his choice.
Yeah, he has who he wants to mess with.
Yeah, exactly. Brother Dwight, anything on that on habit, imagination, and harem? What are those three words we need?
Part of the habit, as that goes, Brother Johnson, basically, it's something you're accustomed to doing.
Yes. Yes.
So you feel like that's a part of your life, no matter what.
That's right. That's right.
And then it's taking control of you physically, but the imagination part is taking control of you mentally.
Yes.
So now mentally that your mind is thinking this, that, which really in terms of leaving you unstable.
Yes.
Or that
Yes.
you might not even be able to connect to women efficiently or effectively the way you need to or supposed to, because your imagination is told from the floor.
Sure. Sure.
So
Absolutely.
your imagination.
That's good, right?
And it goes back with what Brother John said, that it would lead to different things as far as raping,
Sure.
things like that. When you think about something too long, like Tyrone said, if you think about something too long, you end up doing it.
Absolutely.
So what happens is that the person think about it so much, like, well, it's not gonna give me no. It's like an additional like drug. Where this drug ain't working, one of us something more strong or something like that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
imagine, or in the ambient, you think about what this. I don't like this more. I want a real deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you go out and do something crazy.
Exactly. And that's what happens. That's when the violence against women comes, because of the addiction. If you are lonely or in those type of positions where you can't get a woman, And it takes hope. You're going to do whatever you can to get that, to satisfy that addiction or the habit that you have built up into your mind. Now, because the scripture says, it's not what goes in the man that defiles him, it's what cometh out of the man. But you got to remember, how do we receive information? We receive it through our eyes and through our ears. So we perceive something or see something, first it's going to go in the mind.
Man, I want that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, she fine.
Exactly right. Exactly. So once we register in the mind, if we meditated on it so long, it's going to go to the will.
To the heart.
There it is. We're going to talk about that later. Exactly right. And if it goes to the heart, we're going to act upon that. Whatever's in the heart, we're going to act upon that.
And you said heart was a girl.
A harem. Have you ever seen the old movie, maybe in the Middle East, where they play music, they sit around and the girls be dancing for them and stuff like that? That's a harem. A harem of women. Yes.
The only thing that came to my mind about that, of course, is a group of women, or like gangs.
Okay.
And I say that because the initiation part will take place. You get your desire of what you want to happen.
Right.
Sex.
Right.
Anything else from the woman. Like that. That's the only thing that comes to my mind. Right. Women get initiated in gangs, and then when they in a gang, or how the gang leader or the person that will rank, think that he has the way he sometimes do. You have the option to mix with any girl.
And that's a harem. That's a harem. Same thing. And we act out of our imagination. We want, because usually in gangs, and maybe you can contest it, you can attest it, you and brother Josh. Basically, when you get into gangs, basically it's about feeling wanted and needed and being loved. And then out of those three things, you want the money, you want the power, and you want the recognition. Am I right?
Respect.
So, and respect, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you want all that. So all that is out of your imagination, because if you're not,
You want somebody to fear you.
yeah. If you have not grew up in an environment where you didn't get love and encouragement, you're going to seek that somewhere else. And so if the gang is going to provide the desires, well, I want that kind of car, I want that kind of woman, I want these type of clothes, then if the gang is supplying it for you, now the imagination is going to go wild, and then you're going to act upon that.
Gotta go.
And if you get in what you wasn't getting in the street, it's gonna be hard.
Yes.
To try to redefine that person and say, hey, you don't need to get it that way, something like that. But it's like, well, if I go back doing this, I ain't had nothing. But now I'm doing this, I have this.
Yes.
That's why it's the wrong way.
Yes, right. Absolutely.
Making money, but you're making it in a sleazy kind of way.
Absolutely. All right, let's get back into our lesson where we left off. And the harem, once admitted, works against his ever giving out and really uniting with a real woman. And that's what we talk about. Because if you can't get a real woman, your imagination is going to supply the stimulation in your mind to have that sexual release by having that imagination in your mind.
Might go do a sex toy.
You may get, and that can be a part of that as well. Sure, exactly right. Well, I never had that before, but that's but I've seen them, you know. I ain't gonna say that I'm innocent. No, I ain't innocent. All men have masturbated. So if you want to say beat your meat like you said, yeah, they beat me. Exactly. Okay, for the harem is always accessible, like we said, always subservient, calls for no sacrifice or adjustment, because the woman has no control over your thoughts. So if you see her, good God from Zion, man, you remember the old song by, and I always go back to this all the time. Have you ever heard of the song, and I'm going to tell a biblical story, we're going to get back to, because I think it's very, very, very important, and it's interesting to what we're talking about and intertwined. The song was the Commodores, A Brick House. 36. You ain't never heard of it. Yeah, Brick House. She's a brick house. She's 32, 40, 36, 32.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now, I'm going to tell you a story. Now, if you read the story of David, and we read the story last week, but I'm going to paint you a picture so we can realize what David did. David was the king of Israel. He had all the concubines. He had a harem of women, right? He had a harem of women. He had the choice of sitting with any woman he wanted to. But one night, he got lonely.
Yep.
He got lonely. He got restless. So he went out on the top of his castle, or his rooftop, and he looked over.
And he saw Uriah's wife.
Yeah, and he saw a beautiful woman. Good God from Zion. Wait a minute. Did I see what I just thought I saw? Wait, my